Copilot Studio adaptive cards are one of the easiest features to underestimate because they look like simple chat UI. But for AB-620 learners, they represent something much more important, the point where a conversation becomes a structured business workflow. Start with the basic problem. Chat is flexible. A user can type anything. That is great for natural language, but it is not always great for a business process. If someone says, "My VPN is broken," the agent may need several specific pieces of information before it can do anything useful. What device are they using? Are they at home, in the office, or on public Wi-Fi? What error message do they see? Is this urgent? Do they want a callback, a ticket, or self-service steps? If the agent asks those questions one at a time, the conversation becomes slow. If the user answers in one paragraph, the answer may be incomplete. And if the agent needs to pass that information to a flow, connector, API, or ticketing system, free-form text is risky. Business systems usually need fields, not guesses. That is where an adaptive card helps. An adaptive card is an interactive panel inside the conversation. It can show text, labels, buttons, choices, input fields, date pickers, and submit actions. Instead of saying, "Please describe everything," the agent can show a guided form. The user fills in the fields, clicks Submit, and the agent receives a predictable set of values. The key idea is not just that the card looks better. The key idea is that the card collects structured information. In Copilot Studio, submitted card values can be stored in variables. Those variables can then drive the rest of the topic. After submission, the topic can use those values to choose a branch, call an agent flow, pass data to a connector, send an HTTP request, create a record, or escalate to a person. Let's walk through a concrete scenario. Imagine an internal IT help desk agent. The user says, "My VPN is broken." The agent replies with an adaptive card called VPN Support Request. The card asks for device type, operating system, network location, error message, business impact, and urgency. It also gives a choice: show troubleshooting steps, create a ticket, or request a callback. When the user submits the card, the agent now has clean data. Issue type equals VPN, device equals Windows laptop, location equals home network, urgency equals high, impact equals cannot access payroll system. Preferred path equals create a ticket. Those are not just words in a chat transcript. They are values the agent can use. Now the workflow can branch. If the urgency is low, the agent might show self-service troubleshooting. If the urgency is high, it can create a ticket and notify the support queue. If the error message matches a known outage, it can return the known fix. If the user selects Request a Callback, the agent can pass the phone number and availability window to a flow. One card can feed several different outcomes. This is why adaptive cards fit so naturally with variables. A variable is where the agent remembers a value. A card is a clean way to collect the value. The user sees a friendly interface. The maker gets structured data. The backend system gets the field names it expects. Adaptive cards also help with choices. If the user can choose from a known list, use a choice set instead of asking them to type. For example, issue category could be VPN, password, device, software request, or other. Urgency could be low, normal, high, or critical. A typed answer like kind of urgent is harder to route. A selected value like high is easier to test in logic. They also help with confirmation. Before an agent calls an API or creates a record, it can show a summary card. Here is the ticket we are about to create. Here is the priority. Here is the affected service, and here is the submit button. That makes the action clearer to the user and reduces accidental submissions. In AB-620 style scenarios, watch for language about structured information, choices, variables, actions, and records. If the scenario says the agent must collect structured information, present choices, reduce ambiguity, pass values into an action, format an advanced response, trigger an agent flow, call a connector, send an HTTP request, or create a record, adaptive cards may be part of the answer. But they are not always the answer. If the user only needs a short explanation, plain text is better. If the agent only needs a simple yes or no, a normal question might be enough. If the agent needs to have a flexible discovery conversation, forcing everything into a card too early can feel heavy. Use adaptive cards when the information has shape, fields, options, dates, numbers, confirmation, or submission. A useful design rule is this: plain chat is for conversation. Adaptive cards are for structured action. Conversation helps the user explain what they want. The card helps the agent collect exactly what the workflow needs. There is also a user experience benefit. A card can reduce cognitive load. Instead of remembering what details to include, the user sees the fields. Instead of typing a long response, they select choices. Instead of wondering what happens next, they click a clear button. That makes the agent feel less like a generic chatbot and more like a lightweight app inside the conversation. A good adaptive card should be short, focused, and tied to one job. Do not put every possible question on one giant card. Ask for the minimum fields needed for the next action. Use clear labels. Prefer choices when the allowed values are known. Use submit buttons that describe the action, like create ticket, check order status, or request approval. And after submission, confirm what happened. Think about another example: a customer returns agent. The card might collect order number, product, reason for return, condition, and preferred resolution. When submitted, those values can go to a connector or API. The agent can check eligibility, create a return authorization, or route the case to a human if the item is outside the normal policy. Again, the card is the bridge between conversation and system action. Or think about an approval scenario. The agent can show an adaptive card to a manager with the request details, cost center, risk level, and buttons for approve, reject, or request more information. The manager does not need to type a paragraph. The selected action becomes a structured value that the workflow can process. So the practical definition is this: adaptive cards are interactive UI panels in Copilot Studio that collect or present structured information, store submitted values in variables, and help agents route conversations, call flows, use connectors, send API requests, or trigger business actions. If you remember only one thing, remember the chain: user intent, adaptive card, variables, logic, action. The user explains the need. The card collects clean values. Variables hold those values. Logic decides what happens next. Actions connect the agent to the business process. That is why adaptive cards matter for AB-620. They are not decoration. They are one of the ways Copilot Studio agents become reliable, integrated, business-ready solutions.